How's it going? Welcome back to another great video with the majestic host, the Savior. I'm so pumped to be talking about Concord today, and not for the reasons you might think. And I don't want to completely blast on this game and, just destroy it simply because of all of the characters looking like something out of the Willy Wonka franchise. You don't get to play as cool characters, interesting, unique characters with pretty cool abilities. No, you get to play as Willy Wonka's slave labor's force.
I don't like the look of it.
There's a lot of hot lava surrounding Concord, and I'm gonna touch on that, of course, but first I actually want to look at it as a video game. I did play it, and I just want to talk about it, my thoughts on it, give you a Concord review before the full release drops. But sadly, after doing more and more research into the kind of messaging behind this game, the themes and the storytelling and all that stuff, I have to say that Concord isn't looking so hot. And I'm gonna give you a massive Savior prediction right now. Yes, I know this community is made up of wise ones. That's why I call you the wise ones, and I'm blessed that you do subscribe. But of course, sometimes now and then, Savior has to give a little bit of a prophecy. And my prophecy right now is this is going to go free to play in about a week to 2 weeks, okay? Maybe give it a month. I honestly think that this game is not going to, stand with its full price tag for very long. At the very least, it's going to be cut down on a massive sale within a few weeks, maybe around $20. So if you're not aware, this is basically a free-to-play... Oh, sorry. Wait, let me check my notes. Oh, okay, no, it's not free-to-play. No, they are actually trying to charge you 40 smackaroos for this, when it's basically a glorified hero shooter, PvP type game. Now they are adding more modes to this, and I'm going to talk about what they're actually doing with this, why it is kind of understandable to a degree that they are charging this much money for it. It's not your traditional hero shooter like Overwatch, or let's say, I don't know, Apex Legends, or something akin to what's that shitty game? Fortnite? Yes, that's the one.
You about to show them, right? You got bombs? Let's go! Ready? Swish, swish, fish. Another one in the basket. Come on!
Like CSGO, for example. It's even got a mode which is similar to Battlefield to a degree, where you have to capture and hold down different objective points. And then you have the classical team deathmatch akin to something like Halo. It's taking a lot of different game modes, or Call of Duty, from lots of different things, and then trying to blend them all in this hero shooter. With this one single game, or with Concord, you could get the casual audience invested in this, who just want to enjoy something like Team Deathmatch, for example, and then you can also get the competitive market in this game, playing, high stakes games. It is trying to capture a wide variation of different gamers and game modes, which could be interesting, but the problem is with Concord is how they're actually trying to do that, the marketing behind it, the kind of agenda behind it. I don't like to talk about politics in games. It's not something I like to do, but I will be touching upon the messaging, not so much the politics. But sadly, that's not just the problem with Concord, and I wish it was. There's lots of problems with this. The fact that there's going to be super low players on release, because when I played it, even in the beta version and the early access stuff, it's already got low player count, and only few diehard fans of this type of game, and especially a type of gamer who are going to go towards this simply because it's reaffirming their social beliefs and social conditioning. Like I said, it's doing many different things, okay? And some of them it's doing quite well, some of them it's not doing well. Now this is made by the kind of ex-developers to a degree, some of them, of Destiny, Halo. So you would think that the gunplay would be good, and you would be right. The gunplay in Concord is actually pretty good, and it's pretty smooth and stable. But this is not your floaty, fast-paced shooter, which is very weird considering that this is not like a serious military sim game. It's not Rainbow Six Siege, it's not Armor, it's not, trying to be super realistic with its gunplay. But actually, it's kind of slower, I would say, even than Call of Duty. It's very sluggish with how you move around. The only times it feels kind of fluid is when you're using these special abilities that some characters have. Otherwise, it's quite slow moving, but the actual shooting, the gunplay, feels weighty, which I really love. It really does feel like you have impact when you shoot something, and in a multiplayer game, that's so important when you compare it to something like the new Battlefield that came out a few years ago, which was an absolute joke with its hit detection and all that stuff. It's actually in a good state of gameplay right now, but is that enough? No is the answer. Now here you can see some of the characters, and you might be wondering, wow, they look pretty realistic, they look quite cool to a degree. Well, if you see up in the top right corner, you might see a little pronoun bar that says she/her. Undecided. Hello, I'm Savior 3.0 and I'm undecided. They/them. Wow, modern gaming. But that's not really the main point, okay? I'll talk about that more at the end of the video. Of course, believe what you want, I really don't give a shit at the end of the day. But the problem is, none of these characters look interesting. None of them look cool, none of them look interesting. I mean, look at this robot. It's literally like a couple of tires piled on top of each other. That's what it looks like. Now they're trying to go for the aesthetic of quirky Guardians of the Galaxy type vibes. They're doing that with the story as well. They're trying to do this thing where they release weekly stories, weekly cinematics, and the production on them are pretty insane, I've got to say. The animations, it's crazy. Of course, the facial animations and all that kind of stuff are going to look very good and very professional, considering that this is kind of under the umbrella of Sony. But the thing is, the characters don't really look interesting, and sadly, they don't play that interesting either. Some of them do, but some of them feel very generic. Now, I'm pretty sure that the Concord reviews are going to be either completely trashed on or absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely 10 out of 10, best game ever. And this is the problem. This is the problem not just with gaming, but media in general, that we can't actually have an objective-based opinion around reviews about art, okay? And that's fair enough. Art is subjective, video games are subjective, any form of expression, any form of entertainment that you view yourself is going to be in a subjective experience, but we do have objective markers to see if something is good or not to a degree. But as media has transcended into this kind of disgusting mob mentality, tribal echo chamber, you know, them versus us type mentality, we're kind of losing that. So some outlets are going to say that Concord is amazing, some outlets are going to hate on it completely just because of the messaging. So I'm going to try and be as objective as possible with logic and rationality. If you're new to the channel, make sure that you go down below and subscribe right now. Do it right now. It only takes you 2 seconds of your time, but it means so much to me, so I just have to say thank you so much. Honestly, it would be great to have you. Become a wise one today. Don't be like the 99% of other people out there. Don't be a dum-dum. Subscribe to the channel. I'm building up a great community here. I'm so passionate about what we're doing. If you like gaming analysis, reviews, and philosophical videos, you're in the right place. We're going to build something great here. Don't you worry. And I am trying to do this full time now, so the only way I can actually do this, bring you this type of content, you know, this early and put everything that I have into it, playtesting it, reviewing it, getting all of the information and research into it, if it's an early review or a yearly review where I do deep dive analysis into it, I can only do it with your support, so please do drop a donation or a YouTube thanks. Thank you so much. So now let's talk about the positives and negatives of this game, okay, as a video game, and then we can discuss, you know, why I think everyone is hating on it at the moment and why some people are going to absolutely fall in love with it and give it a 10 out of 10. And let me just quickly say this before we get into the positives and negatives. That isn't how media should be analyzed. That isn't how anything should be analyzed. You know, looking at things through tribal mindsets, okay? That is something I'm trying to destroy on my channel, is tribal thinking. I think it's the death of Western society and modern day society in general, not just around media or gaming, but around everything, because you can, you know, play your team if you want, but saying that this game is good simply because it's supporting your messaging, your belief system in the world currently, but actually the game itself is shit, it just destroys the whole idea of what is art and how we can actually define what is good, what is bad within a society. And the same thing for absolutely shitting on this game just because it might have woke elements in it. You know, it's just stupid, okay? So please think rationally. That's all I have to say. And I personally hate that ideology of wokeism, okay? But saying everything is woke, complaining about absolutely everything because it has a female protagonist in it or something like that, it's just gotten to a point where it's lost all meaning. But in this instance, it's quite clearly got an agenda, and I don't think that it really should be in video games because it just doesn't match for audience. And don't think I'm anti, personal identity, okay? You can be whatever the hell you want. I really don't care. I respect your opinion if you want to self-identify as whatever you want, okay? So that's not the problem, that isn't the issue I'm trying to make with this video. But the point is, you can't force your identity onto the rest of society. And it's the same thing with media. You can't force modern day politics into what's supposed to be a fictional landscape. And that's the problem with modern day fiction and modern day media, is it's losing all identity of fiction, of storytelling, and you can't even tell stories anymore because it has to draw parallels to the real world, and I don't think that's healthy or productive, and it stifles creativity. So the first positive of this game, yes, I'm going to start off with a positive because I'm a positive gentleman and I believe in positivity. Yes, this game actually has a lot of different objectives. That's right, lots of different game modes, I should say. Not objectives, that is one of the game modes. Like I said, it's borrowing elements from lots of different games. Halo, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Overwatch. It's trying to do a mixed bag of competitive stuff and, like I said, more casual stuff. And I like that. I think that's pretty cool that you can have it all under one game, and actually it might work pretty well. And some of the game modes I've tried out, they do actually seem to complement the systems of the game quite well. And the heroes, some of them feel overly powerful, some of them feel underbalanced, but then depending on the game mode you play, it can make all of the difference. So yes, it does need some fine tuning, but I do think that is a cool idea, and I do like the different modes on offer here. And some of the characters have pretty cool abilities, which I'll get into. Some of them are generic pieces of shit. All of the good stuff that you know and love. Oh, I feel comfort because I'm playing a game that I've played 5 billion times before, and therefore I feel comfort. Next thing I want to talk about, and that is a negative, is the level design, guys. The level design in this is atrocious, okay? It's simply bad level design. Now, it works, okay? It actually works. It has choke points. It has, little funnel lines, whatever you want to call them, little fun tunnels, little hun tunnels. Highways. Is that the correct terminology? I don't know. But you know what I'm trying to say. You have the flanking path, you have the direct action path, and then you have a little bit of verticality, all that good stuff. All of that works. It's not, as well thought out as something like League of Legends or something, or Overwatch, even though it's not really my cup of tea. I can't deny that is a good hero shooter, but it works, okay? But let me just say this, what would actually make this game good when the heroes are kind of lacking, the movement is a little bit slow? What would save it is good level design. Now, think of a unique indie game like Splitgate, okay? If you don't know what that is, it's basically a competitive shooter, team deathmatch type of game. It's free to play, I believe. And what made that game so cool is you could make portals. It's literally Portal, but a team deathmatch multiplayer game. And you can make portals anywhere, all around you, and just, literally have a portal window into the enemy's base. And I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but actually it works so well. You could create portals flying from the ceiling down to the floor. So many cool stuff. I want something innovative. I want something interesting to make this stand out from the crowd. Better verticality, an ability to tunnel underground or something like that. Just give me something that isn't just generic rooms that you run into and shoot. I don't want just generic rooms that I run and gun into, okay? It's not that interesting, and that's exactly what Concord is doing. And I'm going to try and be fair in this Concord review, look at it as a game and, evaluate it on that, not what the messaging is saying, but just the game itself, so bear that in mind. But honestly, this Concord review is mostly negatives. It's got a few positives in it, but when you consider that you can play another game that's similar to this for less money or perhaps no money, it's pretty ridiculous that they're asking for people to buy into this. And like I said, the whole theme and aesthetic of this game just doesn't appeal to gamers. I just don't know what the hell they were thinking. I just think this is going to be dead on arrival, which many people are saying. I think it will still scrape an audience, but it's going to go free to play or heavily discounted very soon. Now, they will say that they're trying to do what gamers wanted, less microtransactions, and you get the full experience, updated DLC for free if you buy this game. but they don't understand that it's not the problem, microtransactions or giving them a full experience. It would be good if the game itself was actually good, but sadly, there's not enough personality to keep players invested in Concord. So the next positive is the cutscenes. So far they've been interesting. The first few ones I've seen, like I said, well designed. They're going to come out weekly, so little story beats to make you more invested in this universe and the lore. But basically it just feels like a pandaverse of Guardians of the Galaxy. So I don't know how interesting that's going to be, but yeah, that's something for people who are going to be invested in this game because they are very well done on a technical level. But the next negative is the heroes. Okay, so there are 16 heroes. Some of them are interesting, some of them mostly are, most of them aren't interesting. Okay, now you get this big robot guy that sucks everything up and then shoots shit out, which is quite cool. And then you also get heroes that can teleport around, this guy that drops fungus all over the place and does like AoE buffs and stuff like that. Pretty cool stuff. You have this one person of unknown origin who can basically teleport around by chucking this ball and then teleport to that last location. Some pretty cool stuff. You have the classic like Western inspired character that deals with pistols. The basic stuff that you would expect from a hero shooter. Nothing that I haven't seen. These are just random ideas that I'm having, but disguise yourself as the enemy team for like a minute or so before they realize that actually, you're not part of that team. Something cool like that, just something that breaks up the gameplay, but these are all very traditional based roles that we've seen before. And of course, Baz, with my favorite hero, Bazzy, okay? Baz can have X-ray vision, that's right, because multiplayer games need X-ray vision, especially competitive games. You need X-ray vision because it's all about being shit. It's all about not actually being good at games anymore. It's all about how you can cheese. So instead of people hacking their way into games nowadays, you can have it built into the game where you don't actually have to use any skill or spatial awareness. Modern gaming. When I think about other games with classes, okay, just thinking of my personal favorite, Warhammer Darktide, they are so much better. How you can customize them, the skill tree path and all that kind of stuff. They have such a convoluted progression path in Concord that just is absolutely baffling. So first of all, you can't even play as your, chosen hero most of the time. You can only choose one, okay, in one match. You can choose a variation of that hero, but you can't choose exactly the hero that you want often, so it means you will be playing lots of characters that you have no interest in, but there is this weird variation system at play here, which is just ridiculous. So basically, if you add a small customization onto one character, then it counts as a variation, and you can actually have a collection of characters. The whole system of buffs and debuffs, like adding more ammo to your gun and more health, stuff like that, it's just very convoluted. The UI seems pretty messy to me. None of the characters are just interesting. So it's just weird, As a hero shooter, you want to play as your favorite character and focus on building your favorite character up. But this game wants you to try out all of the characters. And there's ways to get around that, like I said, with the variation system. But then you can't actually even, put your cosmetics onto that one character that you want to play as. So it's all very convoluted. Now let's get into some positives. So the first one, like I said, is the gunplay itself. It feels good, it feels weighty. I like the gun design as well. Some of them are pretty cool and unique looking. The overall aesthetic of the world is quite interesting. I like this kind of like polished look to everything, where everything is not really, it doesn't really have a edge to it. And that, I know, doesn't sound that interesting, but visually, art direction-wise, it could have been interesting if the characters weren't all absolutely cringeworthy. And the level design wasn't terrible. I do like the aesthetic of some of the weapons and the universe and stuff like that, but the gunplay itself is actually fun and weighty, which, like I said, sometimes doesn't feel like it matches with what kind of game it wants to be, but in certain game modes it does work very nicely. Another one that I like, another positive, is you have persistent drops. So, each class usually has some kind of ability, maybe some kind of, special thing they can put down on the map itself that heals other players around them, stuff that gives you damage resistance, all of that kind of stuff, and they will actually persist into the next round, even if you swap characters. So to me, that's a very cool thing, because that's always annoying. I've always found that annoying in multiplayer games, when you die as this one class, and then everything that you put down on that map, like a mine or something, it just gets completely magically disappears the next time you join the match. But this actually keeps that, so that's a pretty cool system. and I think that's going to change competitive modes a lot if this actually has any audience at all. I could get into more and more details about Concord, but that's pretty much the basics, and I'm pretty much done talking about it, to be honest. This game I honestly don't think is going to last long. It's going to be a footnote in all of the hero shooters. It just came out at a bad time, okay? When people are very sensitive to this type of marketing, first of all. Second of all, we're tired of hero shooters, especially hero shooters that are trying to charge, almost full price. And the fact that the gameplay itself restricts you in having fun and, kind of limiting your choice and your agency as a player, that's not a good look. And it's dividing the gaming community by having this type of cringe character design and all this stuff. So I just don't know what the hell they were thinking. And you should never limit yourself to having just one forced ideology in any type of media. Media should be a place to explore different ideas, experiences, philosophies. When I think about a game like Red Dead Redemption 2, it has so much to say. This is clearly trying to say one thing, and you should never force real world, heavily, time-focused ideologies or movements into a game. It's just not a good look, and it destroys media if you ask me. But I think that's why a lot of people are pushing back against this game. Also the fact that it's just got bland design, and the level design is not interesting, and as a hero shooter it just doesn't fundamentally work. Some people will hate it, some people will love it because of that, but I'm trying to look at it as a game, and as a game I don't think it fundamentally works. I just wanted to give you my definitive Concord review because I will not be playing this game anymore, and I'm certainly not going to be purchasing it. I was just lucky that I could try it out beforehand. So there you go, that is the Concord review. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, please. Make sure you give the video a like, and I'll see you in the next video. Have yourselves a great day, and my name is Savior 3.0, and I'm going to go and drink myself to oblivion. Actually, I don't drink.